What's up guys, it's Nicole, also known as Nikki Vegan, and today I'm going to be showing you some easy 15-minute dinner recipes that I think are perfect for a busy weeknight. Generally after a long day, as much as I love cooking, I sometimes come home and all I have the energy to do is make toast or have chips and salsa on the couch with some YouTube videos. Like that is almost an ideal situation, except for the fact that it doesn't make me feel very good after I do that. I don't feel as nourished and as energized the next day. So I came up with some recipes that are almost as easy as making toast. They take no time at all, 10, 15 minutes max, and they're really nourishing and delicious. So I hope you guys are excited, and let's get started. So first up, we're going to be making some veggie tacos, and these are a great weeknight meal because they're really fast, takes under 15 minutes, but it kind of feels like takeout, which I really like. So for this, you're going to need a can of beans. I used a tri-bean blend, which means it has black beans, kidney beans, and pinto beans, but you can use any kind of bean that you like. Just go ahead and rinse them and drain them and add them to a pan. Then we're going to add some flavor with some taco seasoning. I like using a pre-made mix because it saves a little bit of time on a busy day. You don't have to measure out, 10 different spices. You can just scoop it right out of the packet. And then I also like to add a nice depth of flavor with some tomato paste. Tomato paste is going to make it taste like these beans have been slow cooking for a lot longer than they actually have been. And it's a great ingredient to add to things like sauces and soups and any kind of dish that you really want to give that flavor to, but you don't have the time. This is going to simmer for about 5 to 6 minutes, and during that time I just stir it occasionally. I like to kind of do this mashing motion with the back of a wooden spoon, and this is going to create almost a refried bean, but an oil-free refried bean, which makes a really great base for our tacos. And while the beans simmer, I just warm up some tortillas and I prep my toppings. On this day I went for some finely shredded lettuce, but tacos are a really great way to utilize whatever veggies you have in the fridge that you want to use up. Or if you have any leftover like roasted veggies from a previous dinner, they go really well in tacos also. Then I like to do a squeeze of lime on top of the beans. It's totally optional, but it only takes a few seconds and it adds a really great bright flavor. Then I top that with some lettuce, and then I love avocado in my tacos. But if you're really busy or you don't have any avocados, sometimes a dollop of store-bought guacamole right out of the container works really well as well. And then I love adding a pickled element to a taco, so something like pickled jalapeno peppers or my pickled red onion recipe works really well. On this day I decided to go for some store-bought sauerkraut, and this one from Wild Brine is really nice. I just love that kind of tangy, crunchy contrast with the more smooth and creamy avocado. I finished this with a dollop of vegan sour cream, or you could use some plain unsweetened yogurt and then just a little bit of cilantro on top. Sometimes I'll use the toppings to make a little side salad to add some bulk to this dinner, but this is a really great, quick and easy weeknight recipe that actually takes under 15 minutes to make. Next up, I'm going to be making a cozy classic, which is a tuna melt. I'm making a healthier vegan version, and instead of using tuna, I'm going to use chickpeas. I have a couple different variations of this recipe on my channel, but this is kind of my perfected favorite version. It's way lighter than the traditional. There's no mayo or excess oil, and it's super fast. So for this, I'm just gonna take some chickpeas, rinse them and drain them, and then you can either mash them with a fork or a potato masher. You don't have to have any fancy equipment to make this recipe. But if you do have a little food processor or a blender, I recommend putting the chickpeas in there and just pulsing it a few times. One, because it saves a little bit of time, and two, because it really creates a really great texture, which really resembles canned tuna. So you get that kind of flaked canned tuna consistency in no time at all. So I'll just transfer that to a mixing bowl, and instead of using mayonnaise, which is more traditional, I'm going to be using hummus. And this is also a really great way to save time because it's also adding a lot of flavor without having to spend the extra time to really season this too much. So you're already getting some salt and pepper, some cumin, some lemon, that kind of thing already in the hummus. So it kind of works double duty. Then I like to add really finely cut celery, and also my secret ingredient is some sweet pickle relish. You could also just do some chopped up pickles if you prefer, but that little bit of acidity kind of cuts through the creaminess of the hummus and gives it a little bit of tang, a little something extra. So I love whenever I'm making something creamy to have some sort of acid going on. It just really elevates the flavor, and as you can see, just scooping it out of the jar is really, really fast and easy. This is another recipe that I definitely food prep. If I'm gonna make it, I generally make a big portion of this. It holds up really well in the fridge for a couple of days, and I can use this for salads or for snacking, just with crackers or cucumber slices. Sometimes I eat it right out of the container if I'm really lazy, but it's a great thing to make in bulk. And then for this dinner, I'm gonna actually turn this into a tuna melt. So for this, I got some sourdough bread, which I highly recommend for this recipe. And then I added some spinach leaves. And this is a great way to sneak in a couple extra greens without having a full-on salad. And then I just dolloped some of the chickpea tuna mixture on top. And I tried to flatten it out as best I could because we had some more toppings after this. Then for the melts part, you need a little bit of vegan cheese. This is the Violife cheddar cheese, and it's super good. It melts really nicely, and as you can see, I wouldn't let any of it go to waste. I topped this with tomatoes. I feel like that's classic for a tuna melt, but if you don't like tomatoes, you could definitely add some really thinly sliced zucchini or yellow squash, or you could leave off the tomatoes altogether, and when it comes out of the oven, top this with some pickled red onions or jalapeños. That would be really good as well. And then I put this under the broiler to melt. Only needs a couple of minutes. You just want to melt the cheese a little bit, and this is ready to go. I think building a great meal, even on a busy weekday, is all about a contrast in textures and flavors and even colors. So when you have something that's really warm and creamy and kind of decadent like a tuna melt, having something cool and crunchy and refreshing on the side is a great way to go. And often I want a salad on a weekday, but building a whole salad on a busy weekday feels a little intense. So something like these cucumber spears drenched in fresh lemon juice with a sprinkle of lemon pepper is the best contrast and a great side dish for this meal. Last but not least, I'm going to be making my maple miso tofu. This is a technique that I learned from the Happy Pair, and I'm so glad because it makes tofu really delicious and it's super versatile. I just go ahead and I take extra firm tofu and I wrap it in a clean kitchen towel and press it pretty firmly to get rid of some excess moisture. And this is going to make sure that you have a nice texture on the inside of the tofu and that it crisps up nicely on the outside. Then you can cut this however you like. I usually do some thick squares, but if you want it to be really crispy, I would do thinner slices. And if you like it to be crispy on the outside and kind of softer on the inside like I do, you'll do thicker slices like this. Then I just laid them out and I pressed them one more time with the towel just to get out any extra moisture. You just want to do this gently, and it only takes a couple of seconds, but I think it makes a really big difference. So I'm going to set that aside and then get started on the sauce. So the base of this sauce is going to be miso, and this is a chickpea miso that I cannot recommend enough because it lasts forever. For this, I'm just going to take the miso paste and I'm going to mix it with a little bit of sesame oil, some Dijon mustard, and I do recommend Dijon mustard here, not yellow mustard. It makes a pretty big difference in this particular recipe. And then I'm going to sweeten that up with some maple syrup. I also like to add a few dashes of cayenne pepper, which I don't think makes it spicy as much as it kind of just gives it a nice kick and rounds out the flavor really nicely. Then you can shake or stir this together until it's nice and creamy. I'm just going to set this to about medium-high heat. I like to use a little bit of coconut oil in the pan just because I don't have the best pans at the moment and stuff will stick if I don't do that. But if you have a nonstick pan, you can set this to about medium heat and do this totally oil-free. The trick with getting them nice and crispy is to let them sit on the first side for about 3 to 4 minutes before you turn them. Don't touch them, don't flip them over, just let them sit and caramelize, and then add some sauce on top of that. Then I do flip them and I'll go ahead and add a little bit more sauce to the other side, and that kind of caramelizes in the pan. And once that's done, you can serve this up. I love to add some scallions on top, which not only makes it look pretty, but it really does add a lot of flavor. So I think this is essential for this recipe. And to make things really easy, I just use a clean scissor. Makes things so much faster. And then a sprinkle of black sesame seeds is optional, but I really like the texture that it adds. For dinner, I would probably serve this with a bunch of veggies, something like bok choy, asparagus, and some extra of the sauce on the side just for dipping. I think that's a really quick and easy, high protein, light dinner for those days where you just want something that's filling but also feels really, really healthy and fresh and light. But on this day, I actually was going to work. So this is what it looks like in real life. Not quite as pretty as my filming setup, but you know, real life. And I had some frozen rice that I just heated up, and I added that to the bottom of my container. I put sriracha and a little bit of tahini on top of everything, and this was my dinner, my fast dinner, but super, super easy and really delicious. All of the recipes that you saw in this video are listed in the description box below, so please go ahead and check that out. I would love to know which one you're the most excited to try first in the comments below. And if you're not subscribed to my channel already, I would love to have you as a subscriber, so please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys in a video very soon. Bye!